Kelly Clarkson had handled tense moments before. As a talk show host, she prided herself on being approachable, someone who could coax even the most reserved guests into laughter or song. But Tim McGraw wasn't budging. His curt dismissal of her earlier question had thrown her off balance, and now she faced a delicate choice: back away or lean in. She chose the latter. Trying to smooth the edges, Kelly chuckled nervously. I get it, I really do. We're all human, right? But sometimes those struggles, when someone like you talks about them, it helps fans feel less alone. It was meant as a lifeline, but McGraw's eyes narrowed beneath the brim of his cowboy hat. With all due respect, he said, his voice tightening, I'm not a therapist. I'm a singer. People can listen to my songs if they want to understand me. That's all I owe them. The studio went silent. Even the audience, usually quick with applause or laughter, seemed to shrink into their seats. Kelly's smile faltered, but she pressed on. But don't you think music and honesty go hand in hand? Your songs are about your life, your heart, your struggles. Fans feel like they know you because of that. McGraw shifted forward, placing both hands on his knees. His voice grew sharper, less controlled. There's a difference between pouring yourself into a song and being put on display for ratings. I didn't come here to be dissected, Kelly. I came here to talk about my album. The words landed heavy, more like an accusation than a clarification. Kelly's jaw tightened, her normally easy laugh nowhere to be found. For a brief second, she looked less like a bubbly host and more like the powerhouse vocalist who had spent decades fighting her own battles in the spotlight. I would never put you on display, she shot back, her tone firmer now. This show is about real conversations. That's why people love it. I'm not here to exploit you. The tension between them was palpable. The audience shifted uncomfortably, some gasping at Kelly's unexpected sharpness, others murmuring in surprise at McGraw's defiance. What had started as a gentle interview was unraveling into something raw and unscripted. McGraw leaned back, crossing his arms again. Maybe real conversations don't belong on daytime TV, he muttered, just loud enough for the microphones to pick up. Kelly's eyes widened. So, what, you're saying my show is fake? The question cut through the air like a blade. McGraw froze for a beat, then slowly rose from his chair. The audience collectively sucked in a breath. I'm saying, he began, adjusting his hat with deliberate precision, that I didn't come here to be cornered. I've spent 30 years proving myself. I don't need to defend my life on your couch. And with that, he stood fully, gave a stiff nod to the stunned audience, and walked off the stage. Gasps filled the studio, followed by an uneasy silence. Kelly, visibly rattled, tried to recover. Well, she said, forcing a shaky smile, that was unexpected. Let's take a quick break. The cameras cut to commercial, but the damage was done. Tim McGraw had walked off the Kelly Clarkson show, live, in front of millions, and the moment was destined to ignite headlines before the credits even rolled. The audience could feel it. This wasn't an ordinary television sparring match. Carrie Underwood sat upright in her chair, her eyes locked on Donald Trump, every ounce of her body language broadcasting defiance. Trump leaned forward, one hand gripping the armrest, the other gesturing as he spoke, his voice growing louder with each sentence. You know, Carrie, Trump said, his tone tinged with mockery, you're very talented, no question. But talent doesn't mean wisdom. People don't tune in to hear your politics. They want your songs, not your opinions. A murmur swept through the audience. Some clapped, others booed. Carrie's lips pressed into a tight line before she answered, her voice firm and unwavering. First of all, she replied, I didn't bring politics into this, you did. And second, I don't need your permission to speak my mind. I've built my career on being authentic with my fans. They know who I am because I've never been afraid to stand for something bigger than myself. Applause broke out, sharp and loud. Trump's face tightened. He jabbed a finger toward the crowd, then back at Carrie. Sure, you stand for something, but what? Weakness. This country doesn't need singers preaching about unity when the real world is about strength. Leaders like me, like what I've done, we make sure you even have that stage to stand on. Carrie shook her head, her blonde hair brushing against her shoulders as she leaned in. Her voice cut through the noise, clear as a bell. No, leaders don't give people their voices. They listen to them. And when they stop listening, when they put themselves above the people, they lose the right to lead. The audience erupted. Cheers, whistles, even a few shouts of agreement. Kelly, the moderator, looked visibly panicked, her hands fluttering as she tried to calm the tension. But the confrontation had taken on a life of its own. Trump's face flushed, his tone sharper now. You sound just like every Hollywood elitist who thinks they know better than real Americans. I've been out there with the people. I am the people. You sit in a recording studio in Nashville, in your bubble, and tell yourself you understand. Carrie's jaw clenched, but her eyes blazed. Don't talk to me about real Americans. I am one. I grew up in a small town in Oklahoma. I know those people. I sing for them, with them, because I've lived their lives. I don't exploit them for votes. That last line hit like a thunderclap. The audience gasped, some rising to their feet, applauding wildly. Others sat in stunned silence, watching the confrontation spiral into uncharted territory. Trump leaned back, his lips pressed in a thin line, but his voice rose once more. You should be grateful, Carrie. Grateful for the freedom to sing, for the success you've had in the greatest country on earth, thanks to leaders like me. Carrie didn't hesitate. She leaned forward, her voice low but fierce, carrying across the studio with the weight of conviction. I am grateful. Grateful to my fans. Grateful to the people who believed in me when I was nobody. But don't you dare try to take credit for my voice, or anyone else's. Music doesn't belong to politics. It belongs to the people. The crowd thundered in applause, drowning out the stage manager's frantic attempts to wave the segment to commercial. The clash had become more than a disagreement. It was a showdown, live on air, between two towering personalities unwilling to back down. The confrontation was still burning, and neither Carrie nor Trump looked ready to walk away. The explosion was coming.